Welcome to Tripping Through Transformation. I'm your host, Guillaume Poirier, and I'm inviting you on a journey that will expand your outlook on life. Join me as we delve into the realms of mental health, resilience, personal growth, community, and alternative healing. Through personal narratives and expert insights, we'll explore the transformative power of shared stories. Get ready to escape from narrow perceptions and dive into a world of diverse perspectives. Tripping Through Transformation is where stories become pathways to empowerment. Welcome, Trippers, to another installment of Tripping Through Transformation. I'm your host, Guillaume Poirier, and today's guest is joining us from Scipio, Indiana. His name is Brian Snow, and he is the CEO and founder of Snowman Multimedia. He has his own show, Snowman in the Morning, and today he's going to share his story of overcoming pancreatic cancer and being a broadcaster and sharing his story. And without further ado, here's Brian Snow. Balance, drop the beat.
Balance makes it burn.
It is Brian Snow Show to reach that goal because mine is to help my family. Mine is also to help raise money for cancer awareness and being a part of the cancer community after having fought the fight, won the fight. I know there's some people that can draw some inspiration from this. So, and I'm also working on being a motivational speaker. Don't be afraid to chase your dreams and don't let anyone stop you.
Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm glad to have a professional come on because I'm still working out the jitters and working on my craft here. But
I get it. Trust me, I get it. I get it. We're getting the jitters out, working on your craft. You don't know which way to attack, and the only way to find the way to attack is just to attack it.
Yeah, well, clear. You've been in this for a while. How did you get into broadcasting, Brian?
The strangest thing, on December 7th, 1995, I was hanging out at Chicago State University. My friend Kevin had checked out a camera from the speech and theater department, and a wild idea hit me. And I said, "Can you attach a microphone to that?" And he said, "Sure. What do you have in mind?" I said, I want to try an experiment. So we go over to the arena where the game was being played, and they were playing Northern Illinois. And we got permission to film and try our trial on the track. And with nothing but the roster in front of me and only a few notes I had in my head, that was my first play-by-play call. And one of my dearest friends recently retired, the voice of Northern Illinois, Bill Baker. He was on hand that night. And I said a stat that I thought I was totally off from. When we wrapped up the show, I looked at Kevin and I said, TJ Lux, who was the center for them at the time, had 26 points and 14 rebounds. So we wrapped up and he said, "How do you know that he has 26 points and 14 rebounds?" I said, "Kevin, I don't know. I am purely guessing." So we went downstairs, ran into Bill Baker, and Kevin said, "Can I see the box score?" He took a look at the box score and then looked at me, looked back at the box score, looked at me again, and he said, "There's no way you knew this." I said, "Knew what?" I looked at the box score, and sure enough, TJ Lux had 26 points and 14 rebounds on the dot. I cannot tell you to this day, and it's been almost 29 years, how those numbers came out of my head. But that was my first call, and from years of listening to Bulls games back home in Chicago and listening to Bears games and games all over the world, we created a monster. And that was my first game, and I've been doing it ever since.
So it sounds like you've always had an interest in sports then, by the sounds of it, yeah.
My dad and my granddad got me started. My mom chipped in too. So I've been a sports nut for the longest time.
So in 1995, then you have this idea, and then how do you kind of just take off and enter the broadcasting world?
Get your equipment and go.
So you just
Because
jumped. You just made a jump because in that little clip that I played of you at the end, you say something. It's don't be afraid to chase your dreams and don't let anybody stop you. And
Mhm.
if I remember correctly, that was something that your dad had told you, right?
Yep, he told
So
me that every day. When I was going through high school, he would look me in the eye and tell me, "Don't let anyone, even your mother or me, stop you from chasing your dreams. Chase your dreams every day."
in 1995, I mean, I'm trying to picture. I was 11 years old in 1995. I was still in elementary school. What were you doing before you launched into broadcasting?
Wishing I was. I'm being totally serious. I got married in 1994 to
Yeah.
my first wife, and I was visiting North Carolina A&T State University, and I don't know what happened. It's something just hit me then, and I said, "Okay, how can I get into the broadcasting realm?" And then I got lucky, and we were working at the Greensboro Coliseum in 1995, and I got to see how ESPN put on their production and covering the Atlantic Coast Conference basketball tournament. That was the first bug. And like I said, listening to Bulls games on the radio, listening to one of my all-time inspirations, fellow named Jim Durham, who was the voice of the Bulls for a long time before he departed the Bulls in 1991. I think I had a simple philosophy: if they can do it, I can do it. So I recorded a lot, and I capitalize the words a lot of Chicago Bulls games, Chicago Bears games, listening to Wayne Larrivee, who I had the chance to meet, a lot of White Sox games with John Rooney, who I've also had a chance to meet, and I would just voice what I heard. I'd copy what I heard by voice. And at the same time, some of the other inspirations in my life, I copied their voice. One of my favorite voice artists of all time is the late great Mel Blanc, who of course voiced the Looney Tunes for many years.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Familiar with him, yeah.
Yep. So for me, Mel Blanc is an inspiration. And strangely enough, my first dream job was to be a game show host.
Okay.
Why? I got hooked on The Price is Right at a very early age.
That's an easy one to get hooked on, yeah.
I got I got hooked on Bob Barker coming through the doors
Yeah.
to start my day. Bob Barker definitely one of my inspirations. So were his announcers, Rod Roddy, and of course the late Rod Roddy, late great Rod Roddy, and the late great Johnny Olson. Watching game shows, sports, and cartoons were my vocal inspirations, and I took them all and ran with it.
Since a young age. So what were you doing in 1994 before you launched into this broadcast, other than wishing you were doing broadcasting?
I I was living in North Carolina,
Yeah.
wondering, in a frank question, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
I didn't have that direction. You know how the dream is there, but it's not pounding you like it does when you really want to do something within the field you want to work in.
Yeah.
It was there, but it wasn't there. It's strange, but when I first got into speech and theater back at Chicago State in 1992, the bug was there, but it wasn't. The play-by-play bug wasn't there for the simplest of reasons. The opportunity wasn't there because
Right.
nobody was doing it. And I didn't know how to get in then. I didn't know what equipment I needed. So I spent a year and a half in North Carolina thinking about it and watching what they do at ESPN, watching what they do at North Carolina A&T State University, and I finally figured it out when I got my friend John Kalidas, who gave me an opportunity to be a sports director at WCSU at Chicago State. that started it. But that first game in '95 pushed the plunger and blew it up, and off to the races we went.
Yeah. So for me, I'm thinking more, I was in a career before where I felt that I was stuck into. It's not really something I was passionate about. I always wanted to get out. So I was just wondering if for you, if you had like a transition period, or if you just saw an opportunity and you just ran with it, or like were there any obstacles to becoming a broadcaster other than just not having that prior experience? Like were there things preventing you from really going for it?
People wouldn't give me a chance. Simply put, people thought I was, even when I started at Chicago State in 1995, a friend
Yeah.
of mine who has since passed on, we formed a network together and said we were going to do a lot of audio broadcasts, a lot of audio play-by-play broadcasts. And we kept running into brick walls because every organization we approached said no. So we kept pushing, and by 1998, we got in with the Chicago Catholic League, covering. He was covering Mount Carmel. I was covering Brother Rice, and I also covered De La Salle in Chicago. So that broke it. That broke the dam,
Yeah.
and we were with the Chicago Catholic League for the better part of 15 seasons. So it's getting that first major opportunity.
Yeah. How did you see that come to materialize?
In the strangest way, because I launched, like I said, I launched a network with a friend of mine,
Yeah.
but then some things off the mic started happening, and I kept seeing people launching their own network and wanting to get going. And I woke up one day and I said, "What the hell? Let's go for it." And I got permission from him to change the name to, in 2013, we changed the name to Arena Sportsnet. And then I still had Snowman in the Morning going. And
Hmm.
then about 2 years after I got married to Jody, my beautiful wife, she looked at me and said, "You know what? Snowman is your brand. Use it." And that prompted the final name change to Snowman Multimedia. And that came in 2020.
Okay.
2020, it became it started as Snowman Digital Media, but then it became Snowman Multimedia. And my wife said, "All right, you got your name. Leave it there." So since then, it's been Snowman Multimedia, but it's been transitioning and name changing for over 20 years. But now I finally got what I want. I finally got what I want.
Yeah. You're heading in the direction that you want, and where do you see it going? Like what's your end goal?
Blow by ESPN.
Oh, that's
Be the honest,
ambitious.
be the honest sports network that people want and need.
Yeah.
Not have any narratives, not have any dirty money, not have anybody telling us what we can and can't broadcast, what we can and can't do, and just do this. Just go.
How is that working out for you? Like,
It's a it's a climb and a half, and
yeah.
I know it's a climb and a half, but
What would you
I'm
see your biggest struggles are right now?
getting sponsors.
Yeah. And
Nobody
what?
wants to take on an all digital network because they still want to see radio, which is they still want play by play on the radio, which is dying. They don't want to trust the streaming aspect, which is rising, and they don't want to trust networks that launch on the internet and have quote unquote no experience, even with someone that's been in the game over 20 years.
Oh, so it's more your platform you would say is the issue that is the biggest issue, I guess, or obstacle?
Yeah, one
Yeah.
thereof, one thereof.
So how do you see us overcoming that kind of challenge? Just
Keep
put
going,
our just keep pushing.
but all gas, no brakes. Because the moment you put it down, someone else is going to pick up your idea and run and will leave you at the starting line going, "I wish I had never put it down."
Yeah.
And I speak from experience because there have been quite a few times where I thought the best thing for me would be to put this down, get a real job, quote unquote, and go from there and pick it back up uh, when the opportunity arises. But something kept nagging at me saying, don't put it down. Something's going to happen. And for everyone out there that's had a dream that wanted to own their own, go with it. Kick the door down. Get your papers and get your paperwork in order. File whatever you need to file and just kick the doggone door down.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you're going to break into an industry is to kick the door down.
Yeah. One of the questions that comes to mind now is, so do you have like a side job that you do on your, on your own time too, or are you totally dedicated to Snowman Multimedia and the show?
I'm totally dedicated now to Snowman Multimedia because I did have a couple side jobs for a while, but then my health got in the way.
Yeah.
And my body told me I'm not fully healed from my cancer surgery yet. And I just recently had my right big toe amputated. And mentally, it's messed with me. But if I continue to let it mess with me, then I can't do this. So I promised to my wife and I promised my children, I'm going to get fully healthy. I'm going to heal properly
Yeah.
and keep pushing this because I want to call my wife one day and tell her, you don't have to go to work anymore. I got us.
Oh, I think that's a beautiful, that's a beautiful goal to have. And I want to talk, you talked about your health. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to talk about your pancreatic cancer and surviving that. And I think there's a lot of there's a great story there to be had. So, and then we come back, we'll talk about that.
You're watching the exclusive sneak peek of NGBN TV. Like never before, streaming content for men is now available, with more to come. Join us on this journey as we introduce you to content creators and shows that are here to inspire, educate, entertain, celebrate, and support men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. We can't do this without you, so please enjoy this sneak peek, but also share it with your friends and family, and help us connect with companies, organizations, brands, or nonprofits who align with our mission to save men's lives. This is the NGBN TV Sneak Peek.
Hey, I'm Micah McCreary,
And I'm Rich Fry, and welcome to Truex Outdoors.
the ultimate outdoor show.
So come tag along with us as we experience thrilling adventures in hunting and fishing.
From the mountains to the rivers, we'll bring you the most action-packed outdoor experiences.
Watch us now on NGBN TV.
Truex Outdoors.
Welcome everyone out there to See I Am Me. I am your host, Rashawn Warren. Welcome to our community where you can embrace your authenticity, set ambitious goals, and achieve success. Together, let's empower and continuously improve our standing in the world. This show is for you. This show is geared to give you some perspective from other people who are just living their lives and experiencing things on a daily basis. You are here for some people who have made it really, really far in their career, and they'll give you some ideas of how to continue to push forward. You're here for some individuals who have transitioned into other jobs after their primary career has ended. It's all about you, to give you the ideal of what you can be in order to become your greater self. Welcome to See I Am Me. I look forward to seeing you. Out.
All right. Welcome back, trippers. So, Brian, we were just talking about your battle with cancer. So let's dig into that. I think there's a lot to unpack there.
Mm-hmm.
So 1995, you decide you want to get into broadcasting, or you want to be a play-by-play announcer.
Mm-hmm.
At what point does cancer come in?
2021, because
So
I have blood
recent.
clots in both my lungs. Yes, this is very recent. I got a cancer scare in 2019,
Yeah.
and it only was that, a scare. Well, 2 years later, I had blood clots in both my lungs. We were living in North Carolina at the time. I had blood clots in both my lungs, and then after that got taken care of, that's when we got the sucker punch of pancreatic cancer, and that came a couple days before my birthday in 2019. So we just stayed positive, and we just said the next steps were in motion. And one of the ideas that they came up with, talking about Duke University Cancer Center, to shrink the tumor that was on the left side of my abdomen, I went through oral chemotherapy. Well, I didn't realize what chemotherapy was. I mean, I saw it with my dad, but I really, really didn't know what it was until I was in the fight. And chemotherapy messed up my head. Simply put, it put me in a fog that I couldn't understand what was going on. I was making decisions that I normally don't make. So my wife had to make adjustments on the fly. I had to just endure because I took those pills for 3 months.
Yeah.
And before the 3 months was up, we had moved from North Carolina back here to Indiana because we lived in Indiana first in Terre Haute, and then we moved to North Carolina. I got stricken with cancer, so we moved back here to Indiana, and we had a weekend where we drove back to North Carolina, November 28th, 2021, because that Monday, the 29th, they were going to determine if they can do the surgery or not. Well, that morning, the most crushing news came down when they said they couldn't operate on the tumor. And I still didn't know what was going on because I was still full of chemo. And they basically told Jody, go home and get your affairs in order because there's nothing we can do. Well, when the part of my brain that was functional picked up what my wife was saying, everything cleared up. I I mean that to my heart. Everything cleared up. My wife was crying. I was crying. And one night we just talked until the wee hours of the morning. And she said, you know what? You're not going to lose this.
Hmm.
So we got insurance and Franciscan Healthcare rode to the rescue. I got uh, a practitioner. I got a family doctor. I beg your pardon. And then about 2 weeks after that, I met my oncologist, Dr. Raghunath. And we were sitting there talking one day, and he said, let me make a phone call to my mentor, Dr. Attila Nakib. And about a month after that, we went and met him. And I knew some good news was happening when he pulled a piece of a paper towel and started drawing what organs were going to be affected, what were going to be removed. And I looked him dead in the eye and I said, can you get this thing? He looked me in the eye back and smiled and he said, we'll get it for you.
Oh, wow.
You want to talk about somebody that was dancing in the aisles?
Yeah. Well, I just feel the confidence in the doctor coming through you. So that must have been a huge sigh of relief.
Oh, it was. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
because I love my family. I absolutely love my family and I'd do anything for them. And to know that everything went from get your affairs in order to, oh yeah, we can get this, and in 6 weeks he'll be okay. You want to talk about a roller coaster? The
Yeah.
roller coaster of emotions was very real. So, um, we got prepared. Drove to Indianapolis the night before, April 4th, 2022. We had the surgery happened, and it happened at noon, and by 6:15 I was in ICU, and I saw my in-laws and I saw my wife, and I made it. I made it through, and the tumor was gone. It took a few other organs with it so the cancer wouldn't spread, but yeah, the first I can honestly tell you the first couple of months, the first 6 months, boy, my body had to go through an adjustment, a big one, a a big
Yeah.
adjustment. But 2 years later, um, the adjustments are still going, and yeah, here I stand, 51 years old, going to be 52 in July. Mentally, I've had my days
Yeah.
where I don't feel myself. Mentally, I've had days where I would think aloud, just end the torture. And I mean that physically with my body and all the changes it's going through.
Yeah.
But if I did that, I wouldn't have Jody. I wouldn't have my daughters, Sonia, Cheyenne, and Carmen. I wouldn't have my son, Dakota, and I wouldn't have my grandchildren. So I'm here. And
Yeah.
the fight goes on. But the best piece of news that we got was February 15th of last year, when we looked at Dr. Roganoff, and Jody, my beautiful wife, said we're waiting on the anniversary day, which would be April 4th, to find out if he's in remission or not. And Dr. Roganoff had the biggest smile on his face and looked at us and said, the remission's already begun. I looked at my wife and she looked at me and we both went, what? He said, yeah, the remission's already begun. And I've been in remission for a little over a year.
Wow, that's incredible.
Go
The
ahead.
blood clots, how did that come about? Like, was that related to the pancreatic cancer, or was that something totally different?
That's an answer we haven't gotten yet. But I just know I came out of the bathroom one morning and I felt lightheaded. My chest felt heavy and I tumbled to the ground. And my daughter Sonia came flying in. I was out. I was out of it. I was disoriented. And then my wife came running and they called 911 and they got me on. My beauties, Sonia, my daughter, and my wife Jody, rode to the rescue again. We don't know what caused the blood clots. We don't care at this point what caused the blood clots.
Yeah.
I just know now I have the medicine to help keep them, no, not keep them at bay, but keep them away. We just know that after the blood clots got sucked out, and I laid on a table. I'm 6'5". I laid on a table
Yeah.
in the hospital in Durham, North Carolina, that was thinner than me. And the only thing that kept me distracted from the pain in my body, oddly enough, was a hockey game.
Oh, distraction. Yeah.
Yep. I looked to my left and I saw the Tampa Bay Lightning playing the Carolina Hurricanes. And I'm cheering on both teams. My back is going through hell. And the nurse comes over, looks at me, and she saw me. Apparently, she saw me wince. And she says, what's the matter? I said, can you please slip me some pain medicine or get me some Tylenol? Because my back is on fire.
Yeah.
Well, bless her heart, they were able to get me some pain medicine into my IV while they were sucking out the blood clots. And that happened. And the recovery started from that. But we don't know what caused it. We just know we're not going to repeat it.
No, I don't blame you for that. That couldn't have been a good experience. So then, how do you figure out that you got pancreatic cancer? Like, what are your first symptoms? Well, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great today.
Yeah, but at that time,
I'm feeling absolutely awesome. I kind of knew what cancer was because I saw it happen with my dad.
Yeah.
Because he had prostate cancer. The clue that I got, and I didn't realize it, is that my left side would flare up when I had the tumor. It would flare up something fierce.
Yeah.
And that was the only clue that I had, that pancreatic cancer was trying to get me. But like I said, fortunately, thanks to the doctors and thanks to my care team, it is no more.
Yeah. So I guess you got screened because you had some suspicions that your health wasn't doing so well, and they caught it. And
they did a biopsy.
Yeah.
And caught it. July of 21 is when the biopsy was done.
So then you talk about chemo. Now you mentioned oral chemo. When I'm picturing chemo, I'm picturing somebody who's hooked up to an IV and he's got the chemo bags and stuff. So oral IV is that just a pill, or how does that work?
Just pills.
Yeah.
Just pills.
And you said you were getting brain fog. So
can
you talk a little bit about that? Like, what does that feel like, or what do you experience?
It was bad. It was bad. We were living in Raleigh at the time, and my wife and my daughter would go to work. I'd be at home alone, and I knew I had to do my show that morning. But it got so bad that I could barely walk or focus on walking or anything like that. So what I would do to make sure I wouldn't miss my show, I brought the equipment over to the bed. I brought the equipment over to the bed. I wasn't doing video yet, at least not consistently.
Yeah.
I had stopped. Well, I will say I had stopped doing video when we moved from Henderson to Raleigh, and um, I moved the equipment over to the bed, and I said we're gonna do just audio until we figure out what the heck's going on. So I did the show, and the next thing I knew, I slept for 4 hours.
Yeah. So you had enough energy to do the show, and then you just crashed.
I had enough to get through 120 minutes of sports talk. I put the equipment back on my desk, and I passed out.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about, before the last break, you were talking about just going and never stopping. So I think you definitely
Yep.
embody that, because if you're going through chemo, suffering from cancer, and you're still finding the strength to drag the equipment to your side of your bed and go on with the show, that's the definition of the show must go on.
Yes, it is.
Jenna tells me we have to take another quick break, but when we come back, I want to dig some more because I got some more questions for you.
All right.
Hello, my name is Charles Schultz, host of The Edge of Greatness. I hope you choose to join me on a journey into discovering the greatness in your life through the exploration of 7 pillars: purpose, mindset, resilience, discipline, commitment, people, and courage. Hope to see you there.
You're watching the exclusive sneak peek of NGBN TV. Like never before, streaming content for men is now available, with more to come. Join us on this journey as we introduce you to content creators and shows that are here to inspire, educate, entertain, celebrate, and support men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. We can't do this without you, so please enjoy this sneak peek, but also share it with your friends and family, and help us connect with companies, organizations, brands, or nonprofits who align with our mission to save men's lives. This is the NGBN TV Sneak Peek.
What's up, everyone? This is Chris Fontana, founder of Go Primal Lifestyle and Fitness Apparel and host of the Primal Mindset Show on NGBN TV. Coming to you from Long Island, New York, with the transformative show that shares inspiring stories of overcoming adversity and embracing personal growth. Hosted by me, who has triumphed over immense challenges, including addiction, mental health struggles, and significant weight loss. This show features conversations with individuals who have conquered their own obstacles. Through heartfelt discussions, the Primal Mindset offers hope, guidance, and inspiration to listeners, encouraging them to persevere and never settle. Join us on this empowering journey of resilience and transformation as we share the stories of incredible individuals who have embraced the power of the Primal Mindset. Join us on NGBN TV.
Brian, before we left off, we were talking about you doing oral chemo and the brain fog and your drive to just go on with the show and keep your dream alive, I guess, by pursuing your goals and going on with your show. But you also discussed that you end up having to need surgery. So did the chemo work? Did it not work, or
it didn't work?
No,
it did not work at all. It took the surgery to remove the cancer, because the idea of the chemo was to shrink the tumor so they could do the surgery down in North Carolina, and that didn't happen. So the folks at IU Med Center, and I give them all the credit in the world, said, we'll get it. And they got it. No chemo necessary, no anything. They went and attacked the tumor and got it out and cleaned me up. And that's that. I've been in recovery and remission since then.
And you mentioned that you lost some organs during that surgery. Is that right?
Yep. Part of the pancreas is gone. Part of my stomach is gone. The spleen is gone. My gallbladder is gone. There are a couple of other organs that are gone, but I'm not. I'm still here.
So how are you coping today? Like how has that impacted your life?
See this microphone?
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I'm still going. And The other reason I'm still going is this pretty lady right here, my wife Jody.
Yeah.
She told me one night before we moved into the place that we're in now, she told me one night, I think you've given up. That turned the light on. That turned the light on for me. And it's like, okay, I can't give up now. I simply can't, and I simply won't.
Yeah. You discussed, depression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had bouts of that. How did you cope with
Oh yeah.
that?
Oh yeah. Um, Watching a lot of cartoons, watching a lot of sports, talking to Jody, laughing with Jody. The most soulful sound is the sound of my wife's laughter, especially when she lets loose one of those belly laughs. When
Yeah.
she sees something and sends me something and she hears me laugh in return. Um, we both have battled depression.
Yeah.
We both have battled depression, and leaning on each other, man, best advice I ever got. Best advice I ever got from my buddy Cole Johnson when I called him one night and I said, matter of fact, Christmas night 2018, I said, I don't think I made the right decision. He asked me three simple questions. A, does she make you laugh? Yes. B, does she love you? Yes. C, do you make her laugh? Yes. What's the problem? When he put it that simply, I found the love of my life.
Yeah. Sounds like surrounding yourself with that positivity really kind of helped you carry you through those difficult times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I want to do the same for my family. I always wanted to do the same for my family. I may be sitting in a wheelchair right now, but I know this is temporary. I'm using a knee scooter right now. I know that's temporary. We got some plans, man. And I woke this morning. Well, part of the problem I know I've been dealing with depression is because I work myself to exhaustion and I didn't get enough sleep.
Yeah.
For a long time I didn't get enough sleep. And I knew that played into why my brain would allow the depressing thoughts to come in. Now, I'm like, you know what? You're not going to plague me. You're not going to plague me. You're not going to take over. You're not going to take over my mind. I'm going to beat you. And that's what I want to convey to my family. We're going to beat this.
Yeah.
Period. I still have my days. I'm not completely over it yet. I know. I gotten a couple of different medicines that I take right now, but my goal is to beat depression to the point where I'm not taking medicine anymore.
It sounds like you've got a lot going on with the cancer. Now you've become an advocate for cancer and you're trying to raise money for research and things like that.
Yep.
So how do you can you tell me about that? What are you doing to raise funds for research?
I just went with an idea and put a GoFundMe page out there.
Yeah.
And I've never shied away from its dual purpose to help my family and to help the cancer community. Because what I want to do at the end of this year is take a big chunk of money from it and donate it to cancer research. So people that are going through cancer just like I can have the same hope. And I want to use my story, whether it be speaking live or putting it in an audiobook and whatever I need to do to help the cancer community now that I'm in it. I never thought it would be me, but now I'm kind of glad it is me so I can send the message, hey, anything is possible. Like Kevin Garnett said when he won his title, anything is possible. Anything can be defeated. Any ailment can be defeated.
Yeah. So you mentioned you want to become a motivational speaker. You want to discuss about your journey in cancer? Is that kind of the
Yep.
goal?
My journey into broadcasting, my fight against cancer, what I've gone through with my wife, and just in general, just showing people never giving up. Ever.
Yeah. What would you say one of the biggest struggles are for people who are suffering from cancer and just trying to not give up hope and, hopefully that they can get into remission or have a successful surgery and whatnot?
Not believing that it's possible. not believing that it's possible, because a lot of people that I've talked to, when they got cancer, they thought it was an instant death sentence.
Yeah.
I too thought it was an instant death sentence because I saw it happen to my dad, and later on it happened to my mom.
Yeah.
Because I lost her in 2021, and I was supposed to be next, but I'm not. And I want to use my story to inspire a lot of others. I want to use my story to inspire anyone that's going through cancer right now, because I know some people that have beaten it also, but I know some people that are struggling with it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know I've had family members who have cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, all these things, and fortunately for them, they've all come out of it. So, but
Yeah.
I know that it's definitely like a hard struggle. It's very challenging
is.
it's physically draining, emotionally draining,
Mhm.
and I could definitely see where people would want to just say, "Oh, this is a death sentence for me." There's why, and that mentality that sets in could ultimately lead to them just
Giving
just
up.
passing on, because they just give up.
Mhm.
So, and do you have any word of kind of encouragement that you'd pass on to anybody who might be going through that?
Jim Valvano, the late great coach of the North Carolina State Wolfpack men's basketball team, said it best. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. When you think you are on the verge, look for something that will give you a reason not to. It was hard for me to do, and some days it's still hard for me to do, to just believe, man.
Yeah.
It was so hard in the days where I was in the hospital just to see my wife for only part of the day.
Yeah.
It was hard seeing her walk out and leave, and me not ripping every tube I had in my body out and going after her and saying, "Take me home."
Yeah.
It's the toughest. It was the toughest thing. Every time I had to spend time in the hospital, my children would come see me, my wife would come see me, but then they'd had to leave because visiting hours would be over. And I just wanted to drag him into my room and say, "No, don't leave."
Yeah.
Because there would be nights I thought she wouldn't come back.
Yeah. And they're a source of support, source of strength, love, inspiration. And then at the end of the day, you have to see them walk out and you can't go with them. That's tough. And I know hospital stays 1 or 2 days might not be anything, but after 3, 4, 5, 6 days, weeks, you don't want to be there anymore, man. Like, it's not a good place to be. So I can
Yeah, there
relate
was
to
there was
that.
there was one time 2 years ago. I was a couple days from being released, but I was begging the doctor to get me out of there.
Yeah.
I was begging the doctor to get me out of there because I would see Jody and then she would leave.
Yeah.
I know I couldn't physically do it, but man, I was planning an escape. And I knew it would have been stupid to do. I logically know that. But let me say this. For people that are fighting depression right now, logically, you know what you need to do. Emotionally, that's a different story.
Yeah. Well, that's powerful. When we come back, we're gonna, if you got some inspiring words to share, if you've got an ask to put out there for yourself, we're gonna cover that. So,
hey, it's AC of AC Sports Live, an interactive sports talk show where your comments are part of the show. Every show we focus on the sports stories of today, with commentary on sports takes, my 2 cents, which is a reaction to my social media feed, Sports Flicks, where we take a look at sports movies and give a quick review. We have a segment called Mental Reps, where we have words of inspiration to help battle the dark side of men's mental health. And then there's the Tender Love Report, who's being soft or petty in the world of sports. Streaming live on the NGBN TV network, Roku, Amazon Fire, and other social media platforms. All takes are welcome under one condition: say it with your chest. I'll see you there.
One week after launching our exclusive sneak peek, NGBN TV was live for 3 days of continuous coverage from Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas.
NGBN TV is live from Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58.
The one-of-a-kind streaming TV network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s was the conversation for the big game about men's mental health. And the world of athletes, celebrities, and influencers were on notice. But we're just getting started with new partnerships announced like the Team Nike 3-on-3 Championship and new platforms available to download the NGBN TV app. So, what are you waiting for? Download the app today from your favorite streaming device or check us out at ngbn.tv. This is NGBN TV.
What's up? My name is Chris Rubio, and I'm the host of The Rubio Method on the NGBN TV network.
Focus. Focus up. Long snapping and life are very, very similar.
We have a great show that's going to educate you, inspire you, and most importantly, entertain you. I say most importantly because that's what I really want to do. And we're just kind of going on this journey together. And I'm going to make sure as we go on this journey together, you're going to have a good time while doing it. So check out The Rubio Method on NGBN TV.
All right, Brian. So, this is only my 13th episode. I think it's my third episode where I go 1 hour, but it's one of those moments where I wish I had more time to talk to you because I feel like I could keep going and dig deeper. But before we wrap things up, I want to give you the opportunity to put out there, whatever you're working on. If you have a charity, if you're trying to raise fund, whatever you want to plug, now is your chance to put it out there. And also, if you have a message that you'd want to pass on to the listeners, man, this is your time to shine.
Well, there are two things that I'm working on. First of all, I'm working on a Patreon where people can get a sneak peek of what we do before we do every show, before we do every game, every alternative play-by-play. And the address you need is patreon.com/snowman multimedia. But the biggest thing I'm working on is my stadium tour. It was my wife's idea to take me around the country to see every stadium possible. And now I want to take it and run with it. And I want to raise money, not just for my family to help my family out, but to make a contribution to the cancer community, to cancer research. And Jim Valvano, as I mentioned earlier, was the inspiration. The other inspiration is my dad, because he fought prostate cancer for 15 years. And though he didn't make it, though my mother didn't make it, I did. So we're looking to raise at least $100,000 for the tour. And if we can exceed that by the summer, that would be terrific, because at the end of the year, like I said, I want to take a big I want to take a big chunk of the money we're going to raise, not just through the GoFundMe that I'll tell you about in a minute, but while we're on the road doing this thing. So if you all will be so kind as to go to gofundme.com/F/Snowman Stadium Tour, I would be appreciated. And beginning today, you will see content on my website, snowmanmultimedia.com, from the show that we did. I had a chance to talk to Matt Taylor, the fabulous voice of the Indianapolis Colts. Had a couple of other guests throughout the course of the week. But and there's the GoFundMe right there. That's the big one that we're working on right now, because we want to launch that by Labor Day and start going to stadiums across the country while I continue to heal from cancer and from my amputation. And I want a piece of that to help my family so we can get situated. But I also want a piece of that to help the cancer community and make a big donation to cancer from a cancer survivor, because a cancer survivor making a donation is going to be huge. And I want to use that inspiration. I want to use that to inspire those who are in the fight right now. And I leave y'all with this. Dave Martinez, the manager of the Washington Nationals, after they pulled off the upset against the Houston Astros, said it best. And I say this to all of the cancer patients and survivors. We stayed in the fight. We won the fight. All the survivors say the same thing. We stayed in the fight. We won the fight. To those of you that are going through cancer, through depression, through a bad time or anything, let old snowman tell you, stay in the fight, and later on, you'll win the fight. Thank you.
No, that's well said, man. I got goosebumps. That was very well put, Brian. Thank you so much. You're definitely a warrior, and I think you had a great cause. And I'm glad that you're around to share your story. And I think a lot of people will benefit from hearing it, and they'll be inspired. So I wish you all the best on your tour and becoming a motivational speaker. We definitely need more people like you out there.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you
Brian.
very much. I appreciate it.
Listen, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate you, and we'll see if we can't get you some more appearances on our network here. I think you'd be great.
I truly appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, Brian. Well, take care. That's it for us today, Trippers. Another great guest with a great story of resilience and overcoming adversity. I mean, come on, cancer, chemo, and he's still here to talk about it, and he's fulfilling his dreams. So I think that's a worthy story if I've ever heard one. Before I let you guys go, I'm going to talk a little bit about the partners of the show. Started off with Go Primal, Chris Fontana. Make sure you check out his show, The Primal Mindset. He shares his story of overcoming addiction, weight loss, and just gaining confidence and becoming a better man. And then check out GoPrimalUSA.com. If you want to support him, buy some merch. He's got some shirts and hoodies there. And use code TRIPPING10, get a 10% discount. Ground Sounds. Man, I recently got myself some ground sounds, some microdosing, because I could feel the brain fog, and it's helping me out big time. So if you guys are curious about microdosing, if you need information, if you'd like to order some for yourself and you're in Canada, check out groundsounds.co, and you can use the code TTT10, and I'll also get you another 10% discount. Next on the list is The Venue in Creston, a nonprofit organization. We're putting together a venue where people can come together, perform, do concerts, poetry, theater, anything. We just want a place for the community to come together and share culture and just have a great time. And last but not least, NGBN.TV. This is the network that we're on. We have a mission to inspire, support, entertain, educate, and celebrate men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s with the goal of saving their lives. We want to prevent suicide. And we have a big initiative coming up April 6th, Equip Ourselves to Save a Life. Register by April 6th at ngbn.tv/save-a-life. And you can equip yourself to learn the signs that somebody might be thinking of taking their life, and give you the tools to step in and hopefully prevent that from happening. So that's the show for today. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We will see you next time. Thank you.
Balance makes it bear.